On August 20th, 1989, a gruesome discovery rocked the affluent community of Beverly Hills, California. Known for its luxury and opulence, Beverly Hills was a place where the rich and famous lived in peace and security. The news of a brutal double murder was not just shocking, it was almost unthinkable. Inside their opulent mansion, Jose Menendez, a successful entertainment executive, and his wife Mary Kitty Menendez were found brutally murdered. The couple had moved to Beverly Hills to enjoy the fruits of their labor, living in a home that epitomized their success and status. The scene was horrific. They had been shot multiple times at close range. Bloodstains marred the expensive carpets, and bullet casings were scattered across the room, painting a grim picture of the violence that had occurred. The sheer brutality of the crime sent shockwaves through the nation. News reporters flocked to the scene, and the story quickly became a media sensation. People across the country were glued to their televisions, horrified by the details emerging from the investigation. It was a crime that seemed to defy explanation. The Menendez home, typically a symbol of wealth and success, had become a crime scene. The contrast between the luxurious setting and the violent act was stark and unsettling. Detectives swarmed the property, searching for clues in the family's luxurious belongings and manicured lawns. They meticulously combed through every inch of the mansion, hoping to find something that would lead them to the perpetrator. The investigation was intense and thorough. Detectives and forensic teams worked tirelessly, examining every piece of evidence, no matter how small. They knew that solving this case would require piecing together a complex puzzle. The question on everyone's mind was who could have committed such a heinous act. The list of potential suspects was long, but the detectives had to start somewhere. They began by looking at those closest to the victims. The obvious suspects were the couple's two sons, Lyle and Erik, the sole beneficiaries of their parents' substantial estate. The brothers stood to inherit a fortune, which immediately raised suspicions. However, the brothers seemed genuinely devastated by their parents' deaths. At the funeral, they were seen crying openly, embracing each other, and leaning on supportive family members. Their grief appeared raw and real. Their grief appeared convincing to many. They cried openly, comforted each other, and presented a united front of mourning. Friends and family members vouched for their sorrow, making it difficult to believe they could be involved. The investigation into the murders of Jose and Kitty Menendez was just beginning. Detectives knew they had a long road ahead filled with twists and turns. Little did anyone know that it would become one of the most sensational and controversial murder cases in American history. The trial would captivate the nation, revealing shocking secrets and sparking endless debates about justice, privilege, and the American dream. Lyle and Erik Menendez grew up surrounded by privilege in the heart of Beverly Hills. This affluent neighborhood, known for its opulent homes and celebrity residents, was the backdrop of their childhood. Their father, Jose, was a self-made millionaire. He had risen from Cuban immigrant to a powerful executive in the entertainment industry. His journey from humble beginnings to a position of influence and wealth was nothing short of remarkable. Their mother, Kitty, was a stay-at-home mom who doted on her sons. She was often seen as the glue that held the family together, providing a nurturing environment for Lyle and Erik. Despite their seemingly perfect life, a darkness lurked beneath the surface. The Menendez household was not as idyllic as it appeared to outsiders. Behind the facade of wealth and success, there were whispers of family troubles. Friends and acquaintances would later reveal that the Menendez family was plagued by internal strife and tension. Friends and relatives would later report instances of Jose being emotionally abusive and controlling. His domineering nature created a toxic environment that affected everyone in the household. There were also rumors of Lyle and Erik's own troubled behaviors. The brothers, despite their privileged upbringing, exhibited signs of distress and rebellion. Lyle, the older brother, was described as charismatic but troubled. He had a history of petty theft and run-ins with the law. His charm often masked deeper issues that he struggled to cope with. Erik, the younger brother, was seen as more sensitive and withdrawn. He struggled to live up to his father's expectations. The pressure to succeed and the fear of disappointing his father weighed heavily on him. In a strange twist, the brothers had even written a screenplay about sons who murder their wealthy parents. This eerie foreshadowing of their future actions was a chilling insight into their state of mind. Adding to the intrigue, Lyle and Erik were reportedly obsessed with the 1983 film Billionaire Boys Club. The movie, which depicted a group of wealthy young men who commit murder for financial gain, seemed to captivate their imaginations. The movie depicted a group of wealthy young men who commit murder for financial gain. This fascination with the film would later be scrutinized during their trial. This obsession would later become a point of contention in their murder trial. The prosecution argued that the brothers were inspired by the film to commit their heinous crime, while the defense claimed it was merely a coincidence. The Menendez brothers' early life was a complex tapestry of privilege and pain. Their story serves as a stark reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that even the most seemingly perfect families can harbor dark secrets. As children, Lyle and Erik enjoyed the trappings of wealth: lavish birthday parties, expensive toys, and exclusive private schools. Yet beneath these privileges lay a foundation of fear and control. Jose's demanding career in the entertainment industry meant he was often away from home, leaving Kitty to manage the household. However, his presence was always felt, and his expectations loomed large over the family. Kitty, while loving and attentive, was also deeply affected by Jose's domineering nature. She struggled with her own issues, including depression, which added another layer of complexity to the family dynamics. As they grew older, Lyle and Erik's behaviors became more erratic. Lyle's run-ins with the law and Erik's withdrawal were cries for help that went largely unheeded. The Menendez family did seek therapy at one point, but the sessions were fraught with tension and did little to resolve the underlying issues. The facade of a perfect family continued to crumble. The events that would later unfold shocked the nation and brought the hidden turmoil of the Menendez family into the public eye. The trial revealed the extent of the brothers' desperation and the dark secrets that had been buried for years. The Menendez brothers' story is a tragic example of how wealth and privilege cannot shield one from the complexities and pains of family life. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the devastating effects of familial abuse. The events of August 20th, 1989, remain chilling in their brutality. It was a night that would forever alter the lives of those involved and send shockwaves through the community. According to Lyle and Erik's later testimonies, they arrived home from a night out to discover the unthinkable. The house, once a sanctuary, had become a scene of unimaginable horror. Their parents, Jose and Kitty, lay lifeless in the family room, riddled with bullets. Chaos and terror ensued as the brothers tried to comprehend the scene before them. The once vibrant home was now a macabre tableau of violence. Lyle claimed he grabbed a shotgun from the house, fearing the intruders were still present. His mind raced with thoughts of protecting his brother and himself from the unseen threat. He ran outside and fired the weapon into the air, hoping to scare off any potential attackers. The sound of gunfire echoed through the night, a desperate attempt to reclaim some sense of control. He then called 911, his voice frantic and filled with grief. The operator could barely make out his words through the sobs and panic, but the message was clear. Something terrible had happened. The police arrived to find a scene of utter devastation. The once pristine home was now a crime scene, marked by the violence that had erupted within its walls. Jose and Kitty Menendez, once a powerful couple at the height of their success, were gone. Their lives, filled with ambition and achievement, had been abruptly and violently ended. Their lives were cut short in a storm of violence. The aftermath left a trail of destruction, both physical and emotional, that would take years to fully unravel. The initial reaction to the murders was one of shock and sympathy for the Menendez brothers. The community rallied around them, offering support and condolences in the face of such a tragic loss. They had lost their parents in a horrific crime. The grief was palpable as they mourned the loss of their family, their lives forever changed by the events of that night. However, as the investigation unfolded, doubts began to surface. The initial narrative of a random act of violence started to unravel, revealing a more complex and sinister story beneath the surface. The case would eventually lead to one of the most sensational trials of the decade, capturing the attention of the nation and raising questions about family, wealth, and the lengths to which people will go to protect themselves. The media frenzy that followed turned the Menendez brothers into household names, their every move scrutinized and debated by the public. The trial became a spectacle, a tragic drama played out on the national stage. In the end, the truth of what happened that night would be left to the courts to decide. The brothers, once seen as victims, would face a different kind of judgment, one that would determine their fate for years to come. The house on Elm Drive, once filled with life and laughter, now stood as a silent witness to the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. The echoes of that fateful night would linger, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lie beneath the surface. In the weeks following the murders, Lyle and Erik Menendez inherited their parents' fortune and began spending lavishly. Lyle purchased expensive cars and watches. Erik hired a full-time tennis coach and traveled to tournaments around the world. Their extravagant spending raised eyebrows and fueled suspicions among investigators. Meanwhile, the police investigation was uncovering inconsistencies in the brothers' alibi. Their stories didn't quite add up. The timeline they provided didn't match witness statements. The pressure began to mount. In a shocking turn of events, Erik confessed his involvement in the murders to his therapist, Dr. Jerome Oziel. Lyle, upon learning of his brother's confession, threatened Dr. Oziel, demanding he keep quiet. These threats were recorded by Dr. Oziel, unbeknownst to Lyle. These recordings would later become a crucial piece of evidence in the case against the brothers.